Hello, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I am so happy to have you here. We are going to dive right into your reading, Pisces. All right, Spirit, what does Pisces need to know? What does Pisces need to know right now? For Pisces. For Pisces. For Pisces. Ooh, okay. Something's happening suddenly. Okay. Pisces. Wow. Okay. Whew. I feel like you're dealing with someone that clearly had a lot of obstacles. You've got the man here looking straight into those mountains. And it may even be that at one point this person felt like the obstacles were not, they couldn't overcome them. But I feel like with this cross here, you know, how do we see beyond the obstacles? How do we do the seemingly impossible in our lives, right? We tap into that spiritual strength. We tap into our sort of like otherworldliness, and we ask the divine for their help and their guidance. You know, that's frequently how we get through difficulties, is we rely on, you know, whatever you want to say, spirit, the universe, God. Like, I'm an equal opportunity person. You call it whatever you want to, whatever you feel comfortable with. And it's interesting because, you know, it may not be that just, it may be that this person feels like they are facing a lot of obstacles, a lot of you know, like they have a lot in front of them, a lot on their plate. But I feel like, you know, with this storm behind this person, it's kind of like, I feel like this person had some confusion, had some, like, a lack of clarity. And, you know, here, it's very clear what they're dealing with. You know, like, there's nothing, you know, obstructing the view. Is that what I'm trying to say? You know what I just saw? This is so funny, but if you ever buy tickets to, like, a sporting event or maybe even a concert, they have seats and it will tell you, like, obstructed view. Like, those seats are typically cheaper. I don't know why I just saw that, you know, like on Ticketmaster or StubHub or whatever, wherever you buy tickets. I don't know why I just saw that. It's so weird. It's so weird. Okay, but anyway, so it feels like their view was obstructed. That may just be the purpose of me seeing that. It may have other meaning. If it has some meaning to you, please put it in the comments. But it feels as though this person may have been so overwhelmed that they couldn't even actually see what the obstacle was, to sort of assess it, to sort of feel like, well, is that overcomable or not? It's like they didn't know what quite they were dealing with, because it was all just so mixed up and jumbled up and kind of chaotic, and it was happening in that moment. Like, you know, it's like, it sort of feels like someone going through a great transition. Like, maybe they lost their job and then they lost their person, and then they, you know, it's like, it's more than one thing, but it's like this person can't see, they can't get it out in front of them. They can't see what it is they're exactly dealing with, because they're just kind of lost in the storm. And then it's like those clouds clear away, the storm blows over, and they're like, I'm dealing with this mountain. I'm dealing with this obstacle. Now I know what it is. And this person, I feel like they do have tremendous faith, or they are calling on the divine. They are praying, I feel like, for help with this obstacle. I feel like the biggest confirmation in the world just came out of the deck, okay? There is a conflict, I feel like, between the environment or the belief or something that was passed down from the parent to the child. There's a conflict between that and believing in something different, even though this person, I can tell you, they have a deep inner knowing. They know. I don't know what they were raised in, but it feels like something very structured, or possibly not structured, possibly the opposite of structured. But it's kind of like, we don't really believe in these things, or we have a closed door on these things, or like I wasn't exposed to these things, like past life, like soulmates, like, any of these kind of more spiritually based ideas. Not to say that I wasn't raised with religion, because I do feel like some of these people were raised heavily with religion. And it could be anything that falls outside of the bounds of that. But it feels like this is something that's very deeply rooted in the material world, in their experience. And the entire structure of our childhood is really based upon our parents' beliefs, right? But our parents are not the sole reinforcer of that idea, right? Like, typically, like, I'll just use myself as an example, because I always do, because this is how it comes through to me. But, I had very structured parents. I grew up in, like, the wealthiest suburbs of the cities that I lived in, and had the utmost education, and there were very strict kind of like, this is who you need to be, this is what matters, this is what doesn't matter. It didn't matter who I was. It was like, this is how you do it. And if you don't fit into that part, if that doesn't make sense to you, if that doesn't jive with you, and if you are different and don't subscribe to that, or can't fit that mold, can't function in that society, that's your fault. And you need to figure it out, or else you're going to fail. And that's how I feel with this person. It may be different than, like, for example, my upbringing, but it's something that fights with the actual fabric of this person's soul. Okay, I don't know how to describe it. So it could be a complete lack of those things, right? It could be a complete lack of structure. It could even be a lack of presence. And, it could be that even this person is like, I know that's not the way to do it, but that becomes our programming. That's what we're raised in, and it's hard to let those things go, even though it never meshed with me and who I was, and it was always like me, trying to make it work and fighting against it at the same time. That's how this energy feels. It's like it all kind of comes to a head oftentimes, for different times in our life for all of us. But there is, I do believe, an element of divine timing. And sometimes it's when, we start to have different experiences, and those experiences don't jive with this structure or this thing that we have been raised in. And, I just want to throw all of the possibilities out there. Like, I feel this is like it's showing me like a beach, you know, how the horizon stretches on in both directions indefinitely. It's just this line between water and sky, and there's just infiniteness there. So like, it's showing me all the possibilities. Like, this could be, you know, someone that doesn't believe in love because of the experiences that they grew up with. Their parents were divorced and may have fought over them. But somewhere inside, it's like there's a child in there that is like praying, like, I please let me find someone to love. Please let me not have this experience. Please let me, you know, have a safe, warm home where there isn't yelling and shouting. You know what I mean? Or if there is an absolute absence of parents, it's like, please help me, you know, to either not have kids, or if I do, to find a partner that is equally as dedicated, that can provide a warm, soft home for this child and structure for this child and be there for this child. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like there's something within them that even as a child fought against this, but with the cross here, it's giving me this sense of someone that eventually falls into line, or like eventually feels that it's easier just to let that part go, that deep inner knowing, rather than to let go of this structured belief system that they grew up in, even if it's not structured. I hope that makes sense, okay? But it's like there's a core belief this person has that something else is possible, and it's like they know it, and it's fueling them, and it's driving them. But yet all of their experience and their thinking mind is telling them this is how it is. This is just what it is. You just need to accept it. Do you see what I'm saying? And those two things are colliding. There's a collision. There's a conflict. And that's what created this energy of the storm here. It's like a high pressure system and a low pressure system hit, and boom, pop-up shower, you know? That's what we have in Florida. Someone asked me, by the way, if I was in Puerto Rico, and I'm not. I have never been there. I've heard it's amazing and beautiful, and I have plenty of friends that are from Puerto Rico, but I am not. I am in Florida. Anyway, this letting go of whatever this is, this sort of blanket that this person has carried with them, would thrust them into something that they don't understand, you know, something that, you know, it's like the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. What are the pros and cons of that? And, you know, it's kind of, it's almost like I remember, I've told you guys this, like my family was like, religion is a crutch, you know, that's for weak-minded people, like blah, 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 blah. And so then my husband is Catholic, and I went through RCIA classes and became Catholic. And my parents just absolutely disagreed with it. They thought that it was ridiculous. You know, they could not have been more vocal about it, but then they, you know, I think they knew that like the good parent thing to do would to not fight against it, especially since I married someone that was Catholic and their entire family was Catholic and they were very good people. So they just sort of kept their mouths about it, but then they made all these like sly comments about it and, you know, whatever. But then it was funny, I was cleaning out my grandfather died, and he was like God of our family. And we were there, you know, dispersing his stuff, like unpacking his house or packing his house. And I found my grandmother's Bible from like 1920s, and her copy of Khalil Gibran's The Prophet was with it, Khalil Gibran. And I took them both. I was like, these are mine because no one else in this family is religious. But I took them, and I actually found out that my grandfather was a preacher for the Seventh-day Adventists or something like that. But anyway, super weird. But, you know, like, and actual like family, my ancestors were Puritans and Quakers, which how weird is that? But that may explain why there was such an aversion to religion. I mean, there's lots of reasons for aversions to religions, and I'm not going to get into all of that. But I'm just saying that I stepped into the unknown in my family, and when I did, I definitely knew that I was being scorned to my face and behind my back, you know, as politely as, you know, my family could be. But then, even when I stepped into the unknown, there were these moments, like when I found that Bible, and then when I found out all these other things, that I really didn't feel like it was unknown, you know, where I felt like there was terra firma. Like there was a reason for this. There was a reason why I had been guided in this direction, or why this actually like made sense to me, or why you know, and had some foundation. And it's kind of like I feel that way with this person, where if they stepped into it, you know, they would actually find out that they were not free falling, that it wasn't something crazy, that it wasn't something they alone did. Do you know what I'm saying? It's so strange. I don't really know how to describe it. But it's also this weird energy where, like, when you are up against a crossroads, right? When you are up in like a space where you have to make a decision, right? And you don't really know which way to go. One of the things, you know, the first thing that I really consider is, am I going to regret this? What thing am I going to regret more? You know, because regret is a darn terrible thing to live with. It's low vibrational, it wrecks your mood, it wrecks your whole thing. So I always like try to start with, well, what would I regret about this decision? And then I compare the regrets, you know, which thing would I regret more? And yeah, I think it's like my husband that really taught me to do that. Like, he would be like, you're never going to regret this, you know, like doing this. So make that decision, you know, that's so obvious. That's an obvious choice. And then I would always see things like that. But the thing is, there's this energy of detachment, and it's kind of like, which thing am I going to detach from? Which thing am I going to regret more? And that decision here feels like this mountain. It feels like this obstacle. It's like, once I get past this, I'll step into the unknown, and a part of me just knows that there will be something firm there to catch me, even if it means that I'm turning my back on everything that I have known. And I think this person is actually calling for some type of spiritual help in this situation. Like, they are like praying for help or guidance making this answer. Life is fragile. Life is precious. You have just one in this body, in this moment. The choices you make matter, you know? And I feel like this person is trying to step away from everything to get space between them and the decision as to like how or what. Yeah. Well, guys, this is this is exactly what is supposed to happen for this person from this connection. This is that moment where this person is supposed to face this. I am just getting such fragility from these red roses. It's just a very fragile energy. it's almost like someone that's saying it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, and then they wake up and they're like, it fucking matters. You know, if this doesn't matter, then what does matter? This might be the most important decision I ever make in my entire life. Like, that's what this red rose is giving me. You know, it's like, it does matter. Okay. So anyway, this is obviously a deep soul connection, and I do feel like this person feels a connection to you that they have not like ever experienced ever. And then you have this obsession and forgiven. There's something dark about this energy, and you know, honestly, it's like my feelings about the Page of Swords, where it's someone that it's like, I can't let you go, I can't release this, I just can't fully walk away from this. It's, you know, we've been talking a lot about that energetic back door and how someone stays attached and may even, you know, really process their feelings through you still, and, you know, hold on and try to reach out and be like, okay, how are you feeling? What are you doing? Do you still care for me? Are you still thinking about me the way I'm still thinking about you? You know, just to reassure themselves, just to be able to stay in this like Page of Swords obsession energy, where it's like, as long as I can reach you and as long as I know you're still there and you still care about me and you're still thinking about me, then like, I'm okay. I don't need to take action. I don't need to do anything crazy. I don't need to step off the cliff. I don't need to, you know, because I can still reach you. And then there's this energy of, with the forgiving coming out with it, where it's like they realize that is just not acceptable. And it's like this embarrassment, shame energy that I keep getting, where it's like, why would I do that? Like, why would I make that choice? Why would I choose that instead of showing up? Why would I allow this distance to exist when I could just show up, you know? And there's something so unforgivable about it. Like, not only are they suffering and withholding it from themselves, but they're causing your suffering by withholding it from you. And there's this realization. It feels like the lightning strike. And it's something that happens very quickly. It's like waking up and realizing, man, I'm freaking pretty selfish, you know? Then you have this energy of accidental love and a third party and I love you. And you can see that this sort of happens in a succession. The third party can be an actual person. It can also be this energy of the parents and the environment that we were talking about earlier, where it's like it's a belief system, or it's, you know, this is just what has been my main influence in my life, and this connection forces me to fight against that, or causes this conflict within me against that. It's even like a ghost here, you know what I'm saying? So it can be something that sort of overshadows the connection to this person. And it is, I always say, like, a third party is anything that someone prioritizes over this connection. But for some of you, it can actually be an actual third party situation. Then you have this accidental love. So it's kind of like, you know, maybe I thought this was going to be a good time. Maybe I was like super attracted to you and I just couldn't help it. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, all these different scenarios, right? But it's like, accidentally, I freaking fell in love. And then it's like, even when we have fallen, oftentimes we don't realize it. We don't know it. And there's this energy of, with the red rose and the I love you, the realization of, oh, right, I'm in love. That's what this is. And that realization is really, I think, behind what is driving this person to wonder if it is worth it for them to challenge their own foundation. Then you have our song, which actually feels like a sign or a synchronicity to me. There may be a song that plays or a song that comes up or something. It doesn't even have to be a song, but, you know, some kind of music. It doesn't even have to be music. It could even, though, be not your song, but songs that make them think of you or remind them of you, or every song makes them think of you. All right, let's dive into the tarot here, guys. Something weird is going on. It's funny how we're all raised kind of, I feel like, well, I don't know, not maybe everyone, but there's, I don't know, I feel like there's this energy of being raised to sort of think that the way we were raised was better or right. That, or like it was the worst and we need to do the opposite of it. But it's just so weird, you know, how that is. Why do we need to believe that? Why? Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, all rivers lead to the ocean. There isn't one right way. Amazing people come from all different backgrounds, all different cultures, all different places. There is not one way. I just heard there is one way, and it's love. Okay, take it as it resonates. We have the King of Wands and the King of Pentacles here, and this, it sort of feels like the dichotomy that is happening within this person. We could really be talking about a Leo, or we could really be talking about, like, you know, someone who, the King of Pentacles, especially with the look on his face, it's giving me this vibe of, you know, the King of Pentacles is the committed one. And this is like committing to like what is solid and stable, committing to the foundation, committing to what I believe, being somewhat unmovable. All energies have a light and a shadow side, like they're a spectrum, right? And even the King of Pentacles. And this King of Pentacles is giving me sort of a shadowy vibe. I mean, there's something sinister about his face and his haircut. No offense on the haircut if you happen to have the same one. But what I'm trying to say, I don't know why, you guys, I am all over the place right now. Here, let me grab my black tourmaline and just hold on to that. Someone is about to make some kind of crazy action. That's what I feel. Or they could lose control at any minute and send a text or show up or comment or do something out of character for them. Any minute. It's like this wild side, this King of Wands side is just bubbling underneath the skin. It's and it wants so badly to take over. So this may be someone who feels very deeply entrenched in their beliefs and their ideas, and you know, this is the right way to do it, and there's only one way, and you know, da 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 da. And then there's like also what this person wants, what this person desires, you know, what you know, and just that the primal nature of desire. It can make you do things that make you feel like, was I really in control of myself when I made that choice? Like, if you go out and you say, I'm gonna have one drink, you know, I'm just gonna go out and see my friends, I'm gonna have one drink. And then you see your friend, and your friend is in that mood that you love, and they're hilarious, and they have all these stories, and you realize you really haven't talked to your friend in a long time, or you haven't felt this happy or this carefree in a long time. So you're like, oh, one more drink won't hurt anything. So you order another drink. Maybe in the back of your mind, you're like, God, I have that big presentation tomorrow, and my PowerPoint's still not ready, and da 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 da, and I got laundry to do, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna wear, and I have to feed my dog, and I'll have another drink. And so you have another drink, and it's just as good as the first one, and your friend is hilarious, and the bar you're in is cozy and warm and cute, and you're like, why don't I come here more often? Why don't we do this more often? This is so amazing. I wish I could stay longer. Well, one more drink won't hurt. It's kind of like the fight between that, like that. Well, I should be practical. I should be pragmatic. I have these responsibilities. I have these duties. The good me, or the reliable, committed me, would be doing this. But the desire me is more primal, and it's shouting from the rooftops. It's like, this is so fun, this is so good, I want this so bad. And it's so there's like this fight within this person, and you can see here with the sun on the bottom of the deck, there's some clarity around this. And even sometimes having our awareness that we're having this dispute in our own mind or between these parts of ourselves is so enlightening. It can actually help us see the obstacle, right? Which can be extremely informative and can actually lead to somewhere beneficial or positive. Let me see. I'm going to clarify these. But sun energy is about heart and happiness and joy. Oh my God, this is so funny. I'm dying. Guys, wow. You have the Nine of Swords in reverse. This, first of all, you have the Page of Wands on the bottom of the deck, which is talking about what am I choosing for myself? You know, what adventure am I going to take? What path am I going down? Which one do I want? And with the King of Wands, you have the Nine of Swords in reverse. When this person is in this energy, they throw caution to the wind. They're like, screw it. I want this. I'm doing this. I'm going for this. With the King of Pentacles, you have all these very complicated energies. You have the Tower, the Six of Pentacles, the Five of Cups, the Ten of Wands. This is like so much, you know? It's the Tower suggests that part of this structure that this person has been holding on to is meant to fall apart. It's based on something faulty. And you have the Six of Pentacles, which, you know, the Six of Pentacles really, it is about reciprocity and equality, but it's also that give and take extends beyond human relationships. It extends beyond it, you know, like, okay, if I have this drink, then I will, it's if then, right? Then I may wake up with a hangover. I may not know what I'm wearing. I may show up at the presentation without a PowerPoint. I may leave it to the morning. And if I leave it to the morning, I may not wake up when my alarm goes off. And, you know, there's a consequence to these actions when you are in this committed, solid, stable energy. There is this logical, okay, if this, then that, you know, kind of energy. And with the Five of Cups, that's talking about regret again, right? With the Ten of Wands, we're talking about heavy burdens, but we're also talking about a 10, and that is a completion of a cycle. So it's like with the Tower and the 10, this is saying something has to change. This is saying we've reached the natural conclusion of this energy. We cannot perpetuate this energy. We cannot continue to prioritize this. It's breaking down, whether we like it or not. The Tower's divine intervention. This is not something we can control. We can control the Six of Pentacles. We can control the Five of Cups. We can control the Ten of Wands. But that Tower, no, that Tower we cannot. That Tower is the universe. And that Tower is saying this structure is faulty. This belief system is faulty. More than one thing can be true at the same time. You can give in to the King of Wands energy and still be committed and responsible. You can go for what you want. Because if you look at what the foundation is that you're standing on, fear is definitely playing a role in it, first of all. This Sun is asking, what are you afraid of? That's what the Sun is asking, and that's where the clarity comes from. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of you know, something that you've believed or subscribed to your whole life falling apart. Well, what happens if that happens? There's a certain amount of chaos here in this energy. And, you know, we see it here with the storm, and we see it again with the Tower. But it's coming to clarity. We have the Divine Masculine energy, and now we have the Emperor energy. So I do feel like we're talking about a masculine energy here. That doesn't mean a male. It's not gender, it's energy. Bubba, talk about a Divine Masculine. Bubby Wobbs. Hey, it's okay. I know. God, you are so cute. You have the 10 of Swords with the Chariot and the Emperor. And this is just saying, like, man, this way of thinking, this way, trying to operate within these kind of like false parameters, or these parameters that don't actually work for this person and that are actually in conflict to their own kind of deep inner knowing, intuitive, deep inner knowing, it's killing this person. It's draining this person. It's because it's not just the burden of being responsible and being solid and stable. It's the burden of the conflict that lies within them and the thoughts that they have. You know, it's like when something bad happens, right? We all kind of look at it and we're like, oh, that could not be me, because I would never do that. You know, I would never, you know, this, or I would never that, or, you know, that, like, whatever, you know. It was recently the anniversary of the Pulse massacre in Orlando, and you know, you think, oh, that, like, these mass shootings, that's never going to touch me. Like, that's not going to affect me. I don't know how anybody could feel that way anymore. But, like, I knew someone. I saw someone 2 days before they were slaughtered in that massacre. It was devastating. He was a beautiful human being. And it was devastating. I'll never forget it. And every time the anniversary comes up, it reminds you, you know, oh, yeah, it can be you. You know, my aunt and uncle were doctors. They lost both of their daughters to drug addiction. You know, they thought it couldn't be them. They were highly educated, you know, very well off, you know, and they lost both of their daughters to drug addiction. It does happen. And these false structures, these false beliefs that we have that, like, if I live like this, then I won't have this experience, or I won't be touched by this, or this won't affect me. And that's a bunch of bullshit. Anything can affect you at any time. And those things, they prevent you from seeing, like, what is really important, right? You know, because I'm pretty sure my aunt thought, well, you know, if I give them a good education, if they have money, if they have this, if they have that, you know, of course that's not going to touch me. That's not going to happen to me. But it's like, well, what if you don't love them? What if you criticize them so much and tell them that they're fat, that they don't like themselves, and that they, you know, need to escape from you? You know, no, I'm not blaming anyone, and I'm not saying that's why that happened, but I'm sure it played a role. She was my mother's sister. But the thing is that it's hard. You know, and sometimes what we think is protecting us, or what we think is preventing us from, you know, experiencing certain things, actually isn't protecting us at all. It may be protecting our ego, but it isn't. It's a false thing. And sometimes those things need to fall. You know, sometimes you need to wake up and realize that, like, no, that doesn't protect you any more than it protects anyone else. That, you know, we're all mortal, we're all vulnerable, we're all fragile. And that it's kind of like, you know, nothing is promised to us. Like, how do you want to spend your time? How do you want to spend your days? Like, what's really important to you? And it does honestly feel like this person is contemplating those things. And it is kind of making them, the Emperor is a sovereign being. The Emperor does not prioritize other people, other thoughts, other beliefs over their own. the Emperor sees things clearly. The Emperor is like, I'm a sovereign being. I need to make these decisions for myself. I need to step into my power and say, this is the kind of life that I'm going to live. This is what I'm going to let affect me and what I'm not going to let affect me. And I'm not going to fool myself into believing something because other people want me to, or because it's more convenient, or because anything. I'm going to really look at the whole picture, and I'm going to use my entire being, including my intuition, that is telling me that soulmates do exist and that love is real, and that just because my parents were divorced and their parents were divorced does not mean that that's going to happen to me. You know, I can do this. And it's opening them up to seeing the world in a different way, and to being willing to make their own choices and their own decisions, and to stand by them, and to live with the fallout. And you know, when I chose to become Catholic, I was like, okay, this is important enough to me to live with the fallout. And I know it will be swift, and I know it will be endless, and I know it will come up front and in the back and up the stairs and down from the top. I know it's coming from everywhere. Because I know how my family is, you know what I mean? But I was like, nope, I got to do it. And it's those little acts of rebellion where we do take our power, where we do take our power back, where we stop being afraid of what people think about us, and stop being afraid to do something different, and to be true to ourselves, and to take our power back, and to stand in our own energy and make the best decision. When we do that, we're making the best decision, not just for us, but for everyone involved. For everyone involved. And that's what you see. You have the Ten of Swords with the Chariot. It's like this person is like, the weight of this and the burden of this way of thinking, and the way that it is not in alignment with me, is draining me. It is killing me, and it has to end. And with the Chariot, this is someone saying, like, I know my own truth. I know how to be successful. If everything, like, it isn't all meant for everyone. Sometimes for some people, it works to just be in a structured system where it's like, you just grow up, you just get married, you just make it work. It doesn't matter if you're happy. It doesn't matter this. It doesn't matter that. It just matters if, you know, you're raising a lawyer and a doctor and an engineer and this and that and, you know, all this crap. And it's like, you know, I always laugh at that, because somehow, you guys, this wacky girl right here raised a lawyer. I didn't plan on it. It's so funny. Didn't really see it coming either. But I did. Anyway, yeah, and so it's funny because fate does take a hand, you know. It doesn't mean that if you raise someone this way, they're going to turn out this way. Or if, you know, it's like these if this, then that. It's like there's no guarantee. If this can be that. If you know, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't want to get off track. But you got this Chariot here and this Emperor here. And this is someone that freaking is taking their reins back. They are really stepping into their power. They're not afraid to make the choice that they want to make. And it always starts with one choice, you know. It always starts with one thing. Where, and I guess for me, it probably was choosing my husband. Which, and girl and guy, I got no regrets. All right. Yeah, it always starts with one choice. It sure does. You know, once you do it once you're brave once you go, you know what, this is actually what I really want, and you choose it, it's a succession that starts happening, because once you do it, you realize how good it feels, and you also realize, like, how that path is right for you, how that path feels, how it feels so good, it feels so right, and everything just sort of falls into place and works out when you start doing that. And it's not like you have to fight so hard, and not like you're always teetering on the edge and always completely stressed out because, you know, you don't want to let people down or disappoint people or, you know, step out of line or whatever. You know what I mean? It's you're living your truth, and there's nothing more powerful than that. So you have the Ten of Swords with the Knight of Swords and the Temperance. And, you know, this is very interesting because this energy is kind of one of those things. The Knight of Swords is like that energy of like when you see your truth and you just want to rush out into the world and be like, this is my truth. You know what I mean? Like everything I'm going to do is going to hinge on this truth right here. I figured it out. And I'm not burdened by all those swords in my back anymore. I figured it out. I see the light. And with Temperance, it's like almost saying like the angels are sort of watching over this, or there is this divine rebalancing that's happening, and this healing energy and this regrounding and recentering and coming back into the self. And so, you know, a lot of times that starts, like people will say, like if they're gay and they come out of the closet and they're like, yeah, well, when I finally came out, you know, I started to feel better. You know, it took off this weight of, you know, shame or guilt or secret or something that I felt I had to hide, you know, and I could just be who I was. And that's this Knight of Swords energy. It's like once you figure it out and once you're like, this is who I am, fuck that. Nobody's going to make me keep something a secret. That's ridiculous, you know, like the freedom of being able to be myself weighs so much more heavily than needing to so that other people are comfortable. I don't care about other people. I need to be comfortable. And me being comfortable is me being me, for God's sake. And so it is like everything then becomes restructured. It's like what I said, when it's like the first time you make that decision and you realize how good it feels, it's like boom, boom, boom. It's much easier to choose that path the whole way because you're not afraid and you don't care, you know? And you're not looking for some kind of validation or some kind of reward. The fact that you're making the choice that's in alignment with you and that you are a sovereign being taking your own self into your own hands, that is the validation. I am brave. I am strong. I make these decisions. This is how I live my life. Yes, you know, that is its own validation. You don't need anything beyond that. Like I've been living off of it for years, you guys. And with the Chariot and the Two of Wands, it's like, now when I come to the crossroads, it's easy for me to make these decisions. I clearly know my path. I don't actually even need to stop to think about it. I can just pick the path as I'm approaching it because it's so obvious to me what is in alignment with me. The Charioteer does not use reins on those sphinxes. You know, you are moved by the alignment within. That's why, you know, the Chariot card is such a card of balance. You know, between your masculine and feminine sides and between everything, between you and the divine as within, so without. The Chariot card represents a ton of stuff. It is a really beautiful energy. We do have Cancer energy here. We do have Sagittarius energy here, and we do have Aries energy here. But, and we do have Scorpio energy here. And Leo we had. But this is just, you know, there's no stopping. The decisions don't shut us down anymore because we don't have that conflict within us where we have to say, oh my God, you know, this is life or death. You know, we're living. Boy, you guys didn't realize you were going to get a reading like this today, did you? Oh my God, this is insane. This message just keeps coming out. Again, we have the Page of Wands and the Tower, and we have the Devil. Let me just clarify this. I just want to see if there's some nuance. I'll take a few on the Tower here. Jesus. Either this is you, Pisces, or this is your person, but somebody is really going through a death of a way of being, or a way of making decisions, or a way of processing life, or a way of going through life. It's like, I don't know. It's like they thought that if they just did X, Y, and Z, and they played in these rules, and they were within this box, then they were going to get this result. And so they were like, okay, great. I understand the rules of the game. I'm going to play that way. And it's almost as if you came in, Pisces, and you were a free spirit. You were you held to your own principles, your own values, and you were also like succeeding. And it really threw this person for a loop because it challenged this belief system that they had, that this was the game they were playing and these were the rules, and as long as they followed this and as long as they did this, they were going to be fine. You have challenged someone's core system here, and it needed to come down. It needed to fall. There's the death in the tower. This, for some people, can be a bit of an ego death, especially with the devil over here on the bottom of the deck. But it's, let me also get on this Page of Wands. Queen of Cups. They want to choose you, Pisces. Oh, lordy, lordy. Pisces, you little minxes. I love you guys. Oh, what would the world be without Pisces? Terrible. That's what. You have this energy, right, with this Tower card and the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups, this is what I'm telling you. This is the warp and weft of this person's soul, where their deep inner knowings exist, where they themselves believe in soulmates. They believe in love, and they may not have believed it until you came into their life, but there was something that was laying dormant within them that recognized you. And that is a very hard thing to reconcile. That is a very hard thing to then say, no, that doesn't exist. Put that you know, cat back in the bag, or whatever. I don't know what that saying is. You know, because the Page of Cups is the core, the very heart, the very center. It's our most authentic self. That's what it is for me, okay? And with the Five of Pentacles, this is the basic primal human fears that we all have, right? Our fear of abandonment, our fear of intimacy, our fear of not being worthy, all of those fears, right? And then you have the Four of Swords, and this is that energy of healing and of distancing ourselves from thought. It is a very meditative energy, where it's like, I give up. I can't think this thing through anymore. I can't think this. I've thought it to death, and it makes no more sense to me now than it did before. I just got to kind of let it go. And when you let it go, it's like the answer comes. And the answer is, I can't go back to who I was before. I can't unknow, unsee, unlearn, unfeel, unrecognize, unrealize that this actually resonated with the very, very core of my being. And that once that resonation hit, it was like an alarm clock going off. And I'm waking up to the idea that life can be more than that game with those rules. And that maybe I'm meant for something different than that. And it's a hell of a risk. But what happens if I take it? Because I want the Queen of Cups. The Seven of Cups is here. All kinds of fear and illusion is being exposed to this person. And, you know, you do start to recognize and realize with your own parents even, like, where their beliefs are limited, where their fear and illusion exists. And then you can also sometimes start to see it in yourself. Oh, that's why I'm like this, you know? And it is passed down. I mean, we are physically, our body, you know, is built from these cells, you know? We leave our cells behind and we take some with us. So it's in there somewhere, all of our parents' fears and illusions. It's in there for us to face. Wow, what a turn of freaking events. This person is now seeing all the obstacles that are between them and having exactly what they want. There's something here in their belief system that's really being challenged about family and about legacy. And with the Wheel of Fortune, this is happening at this time on purpose. It's like this was part of the bigger plan here. So this can be, you know, soulmates have this effect on each other where they learn these big lessons and cause these great awakenings. Yeah. Pisces, this reading is whack. You have the Ten of Pentacles with the Lovers, and the Lovers did not totally come out upright. And it was definitely spinning. So it's giving me this energy of, you know, just how this fragile energy here with this I love you and this regret, it's like, it does matter the choices that I make. And I can't, you know, had I never come across Pisces, then I could stick with this thing of, I don't really believe in soulmates. I don't really believe in that. But now I don't have that luxury. Now I can only say, I do believe in soulmates. I believe I have one. I believe I met one. And then it's like, what choice did you make when it came to that soulmate? Period. And that, you know, if you go through life and you're just playing on this game board and with the rules of that game, and you're able to just get through without ever having that being challenged, without ever having that be called out, without ever having anything that makes you question that belief system, then fine, you know, that can work for you. But once you have something that comes into your life that causes you to challenge it, that causes you to wake up and realize that there is something more, that there is something else, you can't say you don't know that anymore. You know, you can't go back to the person that was just playing inside the rules of the game, you know, coloring inside the lines. This was accidental. This person, their intention was to play inside the game. Their intention was to just have money, have material possessions, you know, look good, create this legacy, do the thing, carry on, whatever it is, you know, and something changed and it can't unchange. And so now their decisions reflect that they know this, and what are they choosing? Which is a lot deeper a thing than I know nothing, I'm blissfully ignorant, and, you know, I make choices according to the game and how I'm going to play it. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Six of Cups, the Moon card, the Seven of Wands, and the Fool card. This person, I do feel like they were somewhat defensive about, you know, seeing any of the unknown. You know, they were kind of blocked off from acknowledging that there was anything different than this game, these rules, and the way to play it. With the Moon and the Seven of Wands, it's like, I'll acknowledge that there might be things I don't know, but if I don't know them, I don't want to know them. And they may have even carried that energy on to this connection with you. In other words, how do I want to really say this? It's like, they could have been in it, they could have been feeling it, they could have been like, damn, I am feeling something for Pisces that I don't normally feel, or that feels deeper or unusual or different, but then in the same exact breath denied it. You know, they weren't open to, they weren't just like, you know, wide open to life and what life wanted to teach them or what life brought in. They were closed off. They were defensive. They were, you know, and even in their like subconscious mind, the choices that they made even reflected this kind of closed off energy. They must have hella wanted you, like desired this thing with you. They must have been very attracted to you. That's honestly what I feel. Um, to have kind of stuck around long enough to fall in love. You know, it's like they were really attracted to you. They may have gotten into something with you based on that. And then, like, what they discovered there, it was like they stayed, but it was still causing this conflict, and they were trying to deny it even within themselves. They probably got defensive at times. They may have even pulled away at times. There's just this real unwillingness to see, to open up, to accept, to admit. Yeah. But then you have like the Six of Cups and the Full card. This person can't stop freaking thinking about you. And, you know, they're spying on you. You have the Five of Wands here. There has been an obstacle. Oh my gosh, you guys. Lord have mercy on my soul. I read the most incredible Khalil Gibran. And even Khalil Gibran came up in this reading earlier. This is not the first time I've said it. I can't remember what it was. But quote this morning when I first woke up. And it said, God said, love your enemy. So I learned to love myself. Yeah. Some things hit so deep, don't they? Right. That's what's happening with your person right here. It's like, who am I fighting? What am I really fighting? I'm fighting myself. That's this conflict. The high pressure system and the low pressure system. It's like my soul and what I know and what is woven into my being, my essence, that deep inner knowing that is being awoken here, versus my experience, my environment, my parents, my this, my that, my upbringing. You see, it's challenging. And this person is fighting themselves. And what are they fighting really? There's all this energy of fighting here. They're fighting their own understanding, their own what resonates. Yeah. Right. So you have the Seven of Swords with the Four of Pentacles. You have the Three of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. This person, it's like, who are you running from, guy? Who are you protecting yourself from, woman? You know, it's like I have all this energy where I'm misaligned and where I'm running away from the truth, and where I don't look at and I don't face and I don't see and I don't admit and acknowledge the things that I don't want to wake up and see and admit and acknowledge, even if they actually could be in my highest and best good. And I'm emotionally closed off. I'm withdrawn. I'm hard to reach. I'm difficult. All of these energies prevent this person from collaboration. All of these energies prevent this person from what it is I think that they kind of really want. Which is like, you know, a strong partnership where you're sharing a vision, you're sharing a plan, and you're collaborating full on. There's that Chariot. Yeah, this person is really evaluating the blockage within them and what they are really fighting and what they're really dismantling. They're really looking at what is causing the drama and the chaos within themselves. And it is this really blocked off, closed off, run away from it, don't face it, stay here with the rules like this and the game like this, where you understand it and you're good at it, where you can have success, you know? But the Six of Wands pales in comparison and is actually really nothing compared to the Seven, the Chariot. You know, they're both cards that mean victory and success, you know, that, you know, you're gonna be successful. But there is this kind of successful where you need a lot of validation and approval and, you know, from other people, from other sources, from outside yourself. And then there is this kind of success where it's happening within you. It's coming from, you know, a place of I'm able to go way further, way faster, and be way more successful because I'm doing it based on instinct and intuition. I don't have to stand at the crossroads and try to guess what other people are thinking, what other people would say would be the best choice or the best decision, or what other people want me to do. I just say, what is it that I want? What is it that I feel? How is this in alignment with me? And then the door is open. You know what I mean? Then the Chariot is also based on partnership, where the Six of Wands is not. This person's having some major freaking awakening type energy. And they're really seeing within themselves what their problem is. And there is advancement. You do have the 5 and the 6 of Wands. And you actually have a 5, 6, 7 here, which is like a big progression. And I think I've seen progressions recently in your readings, Pisces. So the person is moving through the stages. They are becoming aware and awakened to what the problem is within them. If you're dealing with a water sign, you have indecisive. I remember everything you said. I am overthinking everything. You will always be my secret love and trust me. If you are dealing with a fire sign, and we did have heavy Cancer energy, and we do have heavy Leo and Aries and Sagittarius energy in this reading, okay? I can't walk away. I had no idea you would end up meaning so much to me. I want your attention. You give me so much to look forward to. Be patient with me, please. If you're dealing with an earth sign, you have blocking, angry, excited. I am sorry I triggered you. Triggered? I miss you more than you know. I feel like this reading was like the fall of Pompeii or something. It feels so dramatic. If you're dealing with an air sign, you changed my whole direction. You speak to me like no others can. I am making plans, twin flames, secret, and I just want to go back in time. All right, guys, this is what I have for you. I really hope it helps. I hope it brings you some peace and clarity. If it does, let me know. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Yeah, crazy reading. Again, always with you and I. All right, until I saw the cutest thing. It was like a love thing, Pisces with all the signs. And it was like with Libra. The Libra one was the cutest, Pisces and Libra. And I was like, oh my God, I love my Pisces people. Anyway, all right, guys, enough. Until next time, all my best. Always, always. Bye-bye.